have more of your Helveticas, your Arial fonts, your Times New Roman, stuff that's easily readable. Some of the stuff that seems like boring stuff, but it matters. I mean, if somebody looks at your board and like, I can't read this, what the heck is this all about? Then they may just move on to the next one. Also, if you're like me and you have marginally bad handwriting, do not handwrite anything on your board. Right? But if it's not easy to read, that makes it look unprofessional. So, I would argue the thing that is the eye catcher is the actual color scheme itself. Like, whoa, that's pretty loud and bright. I'm going to go check this out. As you get closer, you realize that the background of the board is actually T-shirts quilted together. You know, so now again the project and the board are kind of meshed together in this real nice, seamless manner. Here there's letting some stuff breathe. By breathe, I mean there's not a lot of information here or here, so that the viewer has some time to be like, whoa, lots of colors, and then you have some time to visually figure out, mentally figure out also what's going on, and you realize the photos are down below. If you're doing a project with children, if you did a project that involved children, you need to get some sort of signed release from their parental units saying it's okay to show my son or daughter's photo in your binder and your display board. If you don't get that release, you have to somehow obscure their faces. Like in the past, people have put like smiley faces over children's faces, or gold stars if it had to do with some sort of educational thing. Find a classy way to obscure their faces. Don't just take a marker and smug them out. In this day of creepy people, we have to have releases for everything. So you just have to understand that if you have a picture of a child in there, you need to have a release, because that's a safety thing. Okay, cool. Now we're going to get into some where the board actually becomes a part of break and tape. It becomes an extension of the project. Have you helped me with this one? Yep. So, no. The board itself is leftover material from the locker room edition. So again, in this other way, project and display board are kind of meshed together in this seamless manner. Okay. One thing I want to talk about with this one is try to find a color scheme in your photos, a unifying color in all of your photos. In this case, it's always wood. You know what I mean? Or sand color. That tannish color is that unifying color scheme in all of the photos. That's not a big deal. I mean, it's not going to make you look unprofessional, but if you do it right, it looks classy. You can see the human eye and the brain makes that connection between all of the photos. You can see that as part of the process. Does that make sense? So find some color that might be like, I have a lot of little spots of red in all of my photos. Therefore, I'm going to put them all together. And so therefore, it looks a little more unified. This one's also nice too, like that idea of using measuring tape as the border, because it kind of covers up the sawed-off edge of the plywood. This is done really quite nicely. And again, like larger text, medium text, and then there's some smaller text in here in the blueprints. So it kind of gives you an idea of what's going on. I broke this one last hour, but we're going to pretend like I did. This goes here. Okay. This one's made out of that Corplast stuff. It's like that corrugated plastic looks like cardboard. You can buy this at Hobby Lobby, Michael's. I mean, the thing we're not talking about here that's kind of implied is that there's a little cash involved in some of these that are the good ones. So just be mentally prepared. You might have to go get some materials to make your board look professional. I mean, it's kind of the nature of the beast even in the real world. What's nice about this one is, I would say the attention getter here are all of the reds that kind of pop up in the board. That's kind of the unifying color scheme. Also this actually literally has some texture to it. It's like those old salt flower maps. Anybody make those when you were a kid? Some people are like, no, I ate those when I was a kid. She painted these to kind of give you like a little relief, you know, topographical thing for the actual countries. And then she's got red for the old territories and for the present territory. So you get this idea of like history in there as well. This is like the traditional Mongolian hut. This is like an overhead view that she constructed on her own. So when you take it off, you can actually see like a small version of some of the things that are actually inside the hut. This is key because then you get the viewer to interact with your piece, your display board, in some way. Like, now you've drawn them in, now they're interacting, they're making things happen. They turn a page, or they move something, and they're in. They're like interacting with your board even when you're not there. So if you can find a creative way to get them to interact with what you're doing on the board, then they really will remember your work. Like, oh yeah, I remember that. That's the one where if you did this, this happens. In the past has been, we'll have a couple other examples, like a pocket for photos that people will pull out so you can look through photos. Something where you uncover something and there's more information. One person did something on theater and it was like a red curtain, so you had to pull the curtain back to see all of the photos. Anytime you can get them to interact with your board will help them remember yours. And you know, it's all about presenting yourself in the most professional manner possible and also having somebody remember what you've done. Because that's good for you. That makes you look good. Again, this one is seamless in the integration of the project and the board itself. This person made an app for an iPod, you know, like an actual game that you can play. So the board, it's just a piece of old hardboard and painted black. It's got some tape on it or some vinyl on it, and then there's a nice big sheet of plastic that goes over the top. And it looks like the actual screen, you know, albeit probably an older screen. But here again, the color scheme, I would argue, is kind of a bluish color. It's found in every visual. You know, when I say visuals, it doesn't always have to be photographs. Here, these are things that he had constructed, a graph, sales trends. So the font is larger here, but it's not really big. I know for a fact, like if you try to blow up a font from some sort of app, it comes out all pixely, so this person had to find the specific kind of font that Apple's iPods use, and then they made it larger, you know, printed it on black paper, so you have some of these, right? So the font itself isn't huge, but you're drawn in because you're like, oh, this looks like a big iPod. I'm going to go check this out, right? So as you get closer, you have some of your headings for information, and then the actual thesis and project are explained in almost kind of a chat setting, you know, like a quick IM thing. I think that's pretty neat, you know. This one's one of the ones that was like, whoa, can we keep this, you know? And they're like, yeah, okay. This is one of the cooler ones. We have one left, and we'll go back over that sheet, and we'll be done. This one I just found downstairs. It's a little dilapidated from last year, but that's okay. This is supposed to close. We'll take care of that later. A couple things that's really nice about this. Large, a different font. They must have had, you can go to a store that does vinyling for vans, boats and stuff, and they can actually print these and cut these out for you. if you want your font to look different than those Ellison dye machines that we have downstairs, you know, the cut paper. I'd imagine that's what happened here. The big shape is what kind of draws you in. What, as you get closer, you realize like the board itself is stitched together with tops of old shoes. You know, like, that's pretty cool. So we're talking about heart. There's the heart. Soles being shoes. There's part of the shoe. Actually glued a sandal on the board, physically on the board. This is an actual spot for photographs, so there were photos in here. So you draw the viewer in because the viewer then participates, because, like, truthfully, who doesn't want to look at photos? Like, they're like, oh, this is cool, right? So they're there in front of your board, reading the information, looking at the smaller news clips, looking at photos, while they're looking at some photos in here, larger text, medium text, smaller text, and actual artifacts, you know? It's another one of those examples of like, wow, nailed it, this is cool. I mean, getting, you know, like, I understand why the red is there, you know, the red kind of like with the feet. Perhaps maybe, this might just be my opinion, it might have been cooler if it was like soles of shoes instead of feet soles.